We need to do something about our backdrop.
Yes. Yes, we do need to do something about our backdrop.
Let's just get closer and hide it.
I don't know if I can change the view or anything. But.
We need a green screen until I get things sorted out behind us.
This is when you know it's real. This is real.
It's a disaster in here.
Hello.
Priorities, though. Hello, Dan. How are you guys today? How'd letting the chickens out go?
Yes, hopefully it went well.
Hello, Creative Redundancy.
How are you tonight?
I saw your post there. You said you got snow. Oh, you can keep that.
It sounded like you had quite a
it's like half a foot, I think you said.
Pretty good amount. For
yeah.
We haven't had any accumulation yet. We've only had flurries.
Yeah, a few little bits come down, but that's it for the excitement.
Well, that's good that it went well. Yeah, they do that kind of back and forth thing when they run.
Yeah,
I think it's hilarious when they all get doing it behind you.
I always say they look like velociraptors. Isn't that the one? Mm-hmm. They're running and their heads going back and forth and their bodies going. I always think that they look like velociraptors. Hey, Scott, how are you doing? I think I saw you posted you'd gotten some snow as well, didn't you? Not a lot, and I don't think it stayed, I'm sure, but I'm sure I saw something with you about snow. And we didn't nothing really yet, but that's
so far we've only had flurries.
Yeah. You do look like Ross. My parents sent me a picture. What day was that? Sunday? Must have been Sunday morning because the kids were here.
Oh, must have been Saturday, yeah.
Or Saturday. They sent me a picture. My parents live in Manitoba, and they sent me a picture, and they had like 2 feet of snow.
Yeah,
and they had they had the snow blowers out, and oh my gosh! And I just like, you can keep that. I think they sent me that picture, and that day it was 13 degrees.
Yeah.
I sent a picture out our window of our nice green grass, and it was raining and 13. Now watch, that'll kick me in the butt because you watch tomorrow morning there'll be snow.
Well, there might be,
but I think we picked up our snowblower yesterday, so we're good.
It's fixed.
We got our snowblower fixed before the snow came. I'm pretty pleased with that. It's only been 4 years in the making. 3 years. 3 years in the making.
I was gonna say
it died our last year at the old place, so yeah.
That's true. Yeah, we're
definitely roughly 2 to 3 feet. Raquel got
We're definitely not ready for winter. It's coming, but we're not ready.
We are not. We still haven't planted our garlic.
That will happen this weekend.
Oh, famous last words. I did move the rototiller today. It's in the garlic garden. Yay. I didn't try and start it yet. It was too wet. I figured I wasn't going to rototill today because it was so wet after the rain the other day.
Hello, Plowman's Backyard.
Hey.
And Pastime 84 and Honey Badgers. Thanks for coming in, everybody.
Yes. So, yeah, it kind of was one of those real eye-openers, though, when my parents sent that picture of the snow out in Manitoba, and I was just like...
Well, it was funny because the kids were like, yay,
so excited, we want
like,
snow.
No,
we're not ready for snow. We still have fence posts to dig and fences to put up and garlic. Oh, sorry, I just whacked a cat by accident. She wound up on my lap.
I don't think a lot of the fencing stuff's going to happen.
I'm going to dream big. I'm going to dream really big. Yes.
Exactly.
Ice cleats ready.
Oh, yeah, we're not quite there because if we used anything with any kind of tread on it, it would make quite the mess. We're at that stage right now where we are. It's mud season, so we're not quite winter yet, but everything's mud. Doesn't matter where you walk. Doesn't matter whether it's the chickens walking on it, the horse. It's all mud.
Yeah.
They make everything mud.
The path from the pastures back to the barn. Now that we're getting kind of wet weather and whatnot, I've started bringing Bucky from the pastures to the barn every night. And the sheep, 20 sheep going over on top of it make enough of a mess, but Bucky just steps and slides.
At least he's pretty slow.
But it's getting kind of messy, so we need it to freeze up a little bit. Even if it was just like the mornings were frozen enough that you weren't making path as you went, marks as you went over it, but...
Yeah, definitely agree. We're in that race now.
Hey, Brampton Gardner. Long time no see.
True. We're in that home stretch to get as much as you possibly can get done before you can't get anything done.
But it's kind of funny because we always say, like, we work awesome. Well, I like to think we work awesome under pressure. That's why we leave everything till last minute, because that's when we do our best.
I don't know if we purposely leave it till the last minute. It just sort of happens.
It does.
It's that thing of you always put something else ahead of it.
I know.
And then you get to the end of the year and it's like, oh, that all has to happen. But yeah, that's good to know. Eldan's just planting garlic too. So you guys are, I think, a little ahead as far as winter coming compared to us, even though we're not that
we
we
didn't plant our garlic till the last week of November last year. And it did amazing. So I'm not too worried, but it's still one of those things I don't like leaving it.
Just have to be able to get it. Yeah. But it does work nice. Like
wow, minus 15 it feels like. Woo! Creative redundancy.
Yeah, when you get the wind chill.
Yeah.
That's the worst though, because
whereabouts are you? For some reason I know we should, and you just gotta have a foot of snow, so I'm guessing maybe somewhere in Alberta. I don't know. I'm terrible. I've watched your videos and I've been wonder where that is. We placed some guesses, but where are we here?
So yes, I did hear that. I actually had to drive somewhere for work today, so I was listening to CBC as I often do when I'm in the car. And yeah, they were talking about the freezing rain kind of up your way and up in the northern part of the Ottawa Valley.
Yeah.
So it's coming here too. That's the other thing about thinking back to years past when this. I find that
the bygone days.
Well, I can call it that. The switch from like fall to winter, not calendar winter, but like the freeze up is usually super quick. And where we are, it always usually goes. I mean, we've had a little bit of flurries, but it almost always goes from rain to overnight freezing rain, snow, and like a freeze. I used to hate that because any gate latches that you had,
it was awful.
The water gets all in them, and normally they would drain, and it's no big deal. But when it goes from rain to freezing rain right away, they all freeze up. And there's been years where I couldn't even get gates open again because of the freezing rain.
And we've got tons of. I know it sounds really bad, but gates is always one of those things that we go, we'll do the gate later, and we just put some sort of temporary panel there, and all of them are sitting right on the ground. So I keep going, hey, Gooch and Yardning. I keep going along and thinking every time I open a gate, I go, maybe I should put some 2x4s or something underneath it to get it off the ground, because one day I'm going to come out, if they're sitting in the mud, and I'm not going to be able to get it out. So
it's happened.
I know. So I really should make the effort to get that sorted. Or we should just make gates.
Another thing on the list?
Another thing. The list is so huge. I mean, and everybody's got this right now. I mean, it's that crunch before winter, and it feels kind of like there's no breathing room, but you just kind of keep taking it one day at a time and do a little bit here, a little bit there.
It'll all be over by the middle of December.
Yes. Once it's frozen, it's done. There's not much we can do.
3 weeks of rushing for.
Yeah. On a plus side, the only thing really left in the garden to pull out is our sugar beets, which they're better if they get frosted. So we took out the Detroit red beets this week, and then we still have the kale and Swiss chard and that sort of stuff.
The kale and the chard, we'll just leave and keep eating it because it can get a little bit frosted. And doesn't matter.
And we're still feeding that to rabbits.
You better save your show and tell.
No.
We've got the show and tell sitting in the wings, and the cats are after it.
Yes, cats want my show and tell.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Sometimes the damp, and I'm sure it's way worse for you, but the damp is terrible. Like, cold's not so bad. Cold's tolerable, I guess. Like a dry cold, it can be quite cold and it's not so bad, but it's that damp that you add on top of it. And we kind of get that damp all year. Like, not all year, but all winter, because the last few winters, like Lake Ontario and St. Lawrence, don't really freeze.
Yeah, so you just got that damp breeze that comes off of the water.
We're not that close, but we're close enough to still feel it.
We're what, maybe 3 miles from the St. Lawrence? Maybe, if that.
Maybe.
Probably not even, actually.
Yeah.
But, like inland, I mean. But,
no, minus 4 and it stayed, and the snow didn't go, so. But you guys are a lot higher in elevation than we are. I'm guessing why. It may not go. It may be there to stay.
They got around an inch. Wow.
Green onions going inside. That's something we actually should bring in.
Should. Well,
start going.
You got to bring in your celery yet?
Yeah, we've got. But it's in the greenhouse.
Greenhouse greenhouse that's not finished. So it's just as cold. I keep explaining to Chris, it is just as cold in the greenhouse as it is outside the greenhouse.
Yeah, it's just we haven't gotten to that point yet, so they're protected from the frost, right? They're not getting frost.
They're not getting the frost. That's true. But when it freezes solid, it's frozen solid inside too.
But it hasn't frozen solid yet.
Well, there was that much ice on the water there.
Outside where they're exposed.
This is an ongoing debate of whether the greenhouse is actually doing anything this year since it's not finished.
Well, we can potentially change it. Add that to the list.
Oh, yes. The ever-growing list, yes. But no, we need to start some green onions, and I want to get some lettuce started inside, too.
Yeah,
right now, the grow room has fish in it.
Not really. It's got stevia. We brought our stevia in. Actually, that was we didn't film that, but
no, we did bring it. We propagated it.
We brought it. Yeah, we did some cuttings. We also brought in some plants, and one of the plants is going on. This will be its second winter, so we actually just ripped it out of the pot, blue barrel, and brought it in, and it really didn't seem to mind the move too much, which is good. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Keep that going and not have to purchase it again.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're potentially supposed to go down to -2 tonight.
Yeah, -2 going to feel like -5.
But we're always a few degrees warmer than sort of the Ottawa area.
Yeah.
We're what is it, like 2?
That's why it always sucks, because Ottawa gets snow and we get this horrible rain slush.
Mm-hmm. We're kind of close to that line. Sometimes we just get the rain. We took our carrots. You took the carrots out. Was it last week?
Yep.
Yeah, again last week.
We didn't do so well on carrots.
Not this year.
We didn't. We kept saying we were going to plant more, and we never did. So we only had one row really to harvest. But
that one row did well.
Next year, we should do a little video on all of the fails that we had this year, because there was a lot that we did.
Well, I do want to go back to that, because we just tend to film as we do stuff. But there was a bunch of things that I know we started early. And we started video being like, or just started. It didn't have to be a video, but started it like ginger was one. I wouldn't say that ginger was a failure, but it didn't go quite the way we had planned.
Hey, me and you.
Hello. I do agree that I'm actually going to go back to creative redundancy about getting the wool stuff out.
Yes, that has something to do with my show and tell for later.
We've been discussing lots of wool-related things. Not that everything in show and tell is actually wool, but...
Yes, it is. It's all wool.
Oh, I guess they are. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah.
They are. Well, the pink isn't.
Yes, it is.
Is it? Oh,
yes.
Okay, never mind.
You don't know anything about my show and tell.
Well, there you go. That's why it's your show and tell. But I definitely agree. The damp and the wet really sucks for gloves. Because you get to that point when it's wet like that, it's too cold to just have your bare hands, but it's not frozen. So every time you touch anything, your gloves get instantly soaked.
Yeah.
I hate that time.
I have I have 3 pairs of those. They're not gardening gloves. They're like a mechanic-y type glove.
Yeah, they're rubber.
They're like the rubber on the bottom, and then just a little bit of like the rubber's on the bottom, and then there's a little bit of nylon-y type stuff on the top, and they're really stretchy. And I've got 3 pairs of those, and I go through about 3 pairs a day because they get wet. Or like today, I was stacking wood, and of course we left the wood pile outside, and it got a little wet. And part of it, yeah. So, but anyways, yeah. So I've got 3 pairs of those, and I'm tempted to actually buy some more because, well, it's kind of like socks. You go through and you can never find the pair. Like today, I wore 2 that were the same hand, and I just flipped the rubber side up because I couldn't find the other one.
I don't know what you do with gloves.
I don't know. It's like socks in the
dryer. You lose
dryer.
a lot of gloves, but they disappear.
They do. Keep switching to a new pair, and the rest you get stuff done. Exactly. It's just like you got to have so many so that you can just keep going.
Carrots are pretty hardy. Like I've toyed with the idea of trying to overwinter some outside. I just don't know, depending on the cultivar, if they will be hardy enough. Like obviously, wild carrots, Queen Anne's lace has no problem with the cold, but I've never risked it.
Mm-hmm.
We've always kind of protected them whenever we've kept them for the seed. But we should potentially next year, when we actually get everything sorted, next year.
Yes.
Make sure we keep stuff going in the greenhouse. Like we could have grown carrots. We could have started a lot of things, but we're still in that backlog of trying to get.
Well, and we did some video footage of our attempt to start our polytunnel greenhouse.
We started.
We should do. I think we should do that. Let's try for next week a video of all the videos that we started and never finished the project. There's a lot. I don't know if everybody has, and anybody who's a channel, I don't know if you have that file that's full of unfinished videos, but it's a big one. And some of it was just kind of, or stuff that really failed, which you should share too. But it is kind of funny when you go and look at those and go, jeepers, like we got some from spring last year.
Oh yeah, we just keep getting bumped as a priority.
It's like, oh, we started that and we didn't finish it. We never finished it. But
that is good that you were able to get all the stuff for your chicken feed, but they didn't have the wheat. That's too bad. Like, can they? Sorry, I'm reading, but can they get it, or they were just out, or they don't normally carry it, or? Just kind of curious because it's one of those. What do you call that?
Kind of a staple.
It's a staple, but it's nice to know what's going on with that stuff, right? Because
to be in the loop, because if there is a shortage anywhere.
Now we have noticed locally. I say locally, like per general, within an hour of us, a lot more of the larger farms that do the cash crop actually planted wheat and oats this year, which is a big change from the sort of modern tradition of corn and soybeans. So hopefully that'll help.
Mm-hmm. Well, now if she's having trouble getting it, we better make sure we get it. We do stockpile a lot of it anyways, but we should stockpile more. Just because wheat is something we go through a lot here because we feed everything. Everything gets some sort of wheat.
Well, that's interesting, though, that, they just didn't have it. Well, hopefully you can find it somewhere relatively close to you.
Yeah.
Without having to drive a ridiculous distance. Even if you don't have it, though, they'll still eat the rest of the stuff. You just may not want to. Some of the ingredients might be a bit expensive to feed them in a bigger quantity.
Yeah, the wheat is nice because it's usually the cheap part that just bulks it all out.
Well, and they like it. Energy,
yeah. We'll have to see. I'm not sure what is there. Because do you go to Kingston all that often? I don't know.
I don't know if the one there would. They probably have it, but it's a long drive. But Creative Redundancy says that still has a project from the spring as well.
So it's not just us. Yay. And the worst bit is they're projects that we actually do want to complete. Like it's not that they were just like, oh, we're not going to do that. It just, we haven't made it there yet.
Good Yarding's got an excellent point when you're actually trying to, like you said, is when you're trying to film everything.
Yeah.
You want to catch everything, but you can't really do that and still do it all, which is just impossible.
Oh, yeah.
So, sometimes you have to, like, put it away. And I guess we're bad because we still try to film it, but ours
no. We tend to just pick something.
Yeah.
We don't film. It's like,
you end up, you're right, because you end up with a lot of little odd jobs that are important. Like, every job is important, from cleaning out the garden.
Hey, farmer sun prepping free, Kyle.
You know, there's every job's important, but it doesn't sound all that important sometimes.
No, well, this is it. And I think that's, like you're saying, it was kind of one of those things where we would choose 2 or 3 things that we knew we wanted to get on video and get them. And then anything else that we videoed was fine. But as you say, if it seemed to be interfering, then it was just, let's get the job done because it's got to get done. And I know we missed quite a bit of the harvest stuff out of the garden just because it was like, well, we got to do it. We're out here with the buckets. Let's just do it. And,
well, harvests are really hard to document everything because you just end up with so much that you can't.
Yeah.
But
it's nice, like, if anybody doesn't follow Gluten Gardening, definitely check him out because he's got some amazing harvests, amazing gardener. And I love some of your ones where you do like the big harvest and then you lay it out all so pretty on the table afterwards. It looks lovely. And it's just, but like you say, all that is time consuming. I mean, yeah,
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely. But yeah, Plowman's just also saying so many videos.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. That hike on propane.
Yeah.
Wow, 34%. That's substantial.
We don't use propane, but that's
no, but still, that's just one particular thing.
Honey Badgers is saying it's all.
Not to go too far down this line tonight, because kind of just want to keep it lighter. But I think that's the thing about finding the things that you can, I'm going to say, have that control over, that you can kind of keep going with relatively low input costs. If you call that, because there's always going to be something for the vast majority of us that you're going to have to purchase, like propane or hydro or whatever, or electricity. Sorry, shouldn't say hydro because that's just an Ontario thing. But
yeah, well,
there's always
it's hydro everywhere. It's just Manitoba hydro.
But there's always those things that you can't. And I'm gonna say you can't control, but they're harder to control. So when you can do some of the other things, like the food side of it, it's kind of the big benefit, right? Because you don't have that cost going out as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I agree with Gunning there. You film something, and for a variety of reasons, it takes you a while to get it out,
and then you're kind of like, make sense anymore.
And then it's like, oh, it was really good, but it's January and it doesn't make sense to talk about it. Yeah.
Oh, we've got a few of those that it's just like, oh, that was a really cute thing, and we filmed it, and we were going to splice it in somewhere, like the one I did of the geese all trying to get in the bathtub.
Oh yeah.
And all that sort of stuff. It was like cute footage, even, that we're like, oh, we'll put that into a video somewhere, and then it never gets around to it, and then you're like, well, now that makes absolutely no sense because it was spring and there was no leaves on the trees, and and that's maybe us. Sometimes I guess, well, all creators put too much thought into stuff sometimes.
Yeah,
but that's all right.
That's all right. Part of the fun. We don't actually get our feed in Kingston.
Well, actually, what I was thinking was, if for some reason they couldn't find it, if they were going to be in Kingston, since we need to go and get some, if they had, I'd buy an extra bag.
Yeah,
and we could bring it to Kingston. I don't know where in Kingston would have it.
The only place right in Kingston would be, that I can think of, would be
or Wilton.
Actually,
the Wilton Tack and
there is a couple places.
Anyways, we could do an email about it. If I was just thinking, if you exhaust everything there and can't find it, we could potentially pick up a bag from ours. It would be it's 40 kg, so it's 80 pounds. That'll do you for ages. I don't know, they're like 20. I don't know, $21, $20.
It fluctuates, but yeah, that's the thing. But because wheat's a commodity, like whole wheat's a commodity, right? So the price never stays. It's always. I'm gonna say it doesn't go up a lot. It stays pretty stable, but it's always slightly different. But okay, so creative redundancy's kind of been multiple places. Yeah.
Okay.
Ottawa, GTA.
Well, because we wondered about
That's not a bad idea.
A lot of people pass through Kingston. I guess it's because it's the 401.
Oh, if you're going that route.
Yeah.
Sorry, this is kind of the local Ontario discussion, but yeah, if you're going down the 401, which is, for anybody who doesn't know, that's a very major sort of artery in the province, corridor. We live pretty close to it. Not within hearing distance necessarily, but pretty close. Hello, James. Excuse me. Thanks for coming in. Yeah, definitely see what you can find, because if there's somebody nearby that can get it. But
we got the wood stoves going, and it's hot.
It's nice to have the wood stoves going, but fortunately, we only have to have them going a little bit because it's just enough to take the edge off right now.
Redundancy likes the Canadian top. It's kind of fun. I mean, there's a few Americans in here too, but for the most part, we definitely find we've got a lot of Canadian followers.
That's a really good point, actually, that James made about sometimes you can get the screenings, which you're 100% right. The screenings, I mean, you get some non-usable chafy type stuff in them, but there's a lot of usable in there.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can get them, like you say, and they're a cheaper price, then that's great.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, Red in the Valley.
Hey, Red in the Valley, another Canadian, another Ontarian.
But I think we're lucky because we do have a local grain mill that also sort of, I'm going to say, sells retail feed, which is awesome to do that. So that's where we're kind of lucky that way.
Well, yeah, and we find, because if we go to an actual feed store, not a feed store, sorry, where we go is our local feed store. But if we go to a name store, like a TSC TSC doesn't, but even like Richie Feed, we're paying a fraction of what the fee is there for the same whole grain.
But they're shipped in from further.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. Where our feed store locally is getting it locally from farmers right around. So,
I'm going to go to Honey Badger.
I was curious. Alien wanting to talk. Is that this one?
No, my.
Oh!
I was curious.
It's a test to see if anybody knows who this is.
Yes, if anybody knows who it is. You're close. It is.
It is an alien wanting a taco.
But do you know who in particular? I don't know. Nobody's probably going to know. It's kind of an obscure one. But
yes.
How much daily feed do you use for chickens? That's a tough one. Right now, we're going through a lot of feed. I don't know exactly how much.
Right now we mix up. So for our chickens, we have 80. What did I say? I counted after all the other ones were gone.
It was around the 80 mark.
Yeah, I think it was almost 80. Almost 80 chickens left after, because Eldan got our first delivery of chickens was to Eldan. Actually, we got to go meet them and see their homestead. It was fantastic. I really think that she should make a channel. Well, you both should make a channel, because you guys are full of so much information and so interesting, and we could have stayed at your place forever. But and so we had Eldan got some chickens, and then
Hello, Simply Dan.
Plowman's Backyard and Me and You Acres also got some chickens from us this week. So they put us down in some numbers, which was awesome, but we still tallied up to be 80 chickens.
Yeah, we've been spreading chickens around.
Yes, so Me and You Acres and Plowman's did come to us to pick up their chickens, and I hope everybody's seen our post on the community tab and gone to check out their channels, and certainly subscribe.
We
just posted the Plowman's one. We wanted to make sure we spread them out. So anyways, definitely go and check them out. And I need to do some link sharing, I suppose, in here, I guess, but that's okay. I can do it after. Angie knows.
That is.
Anyways, now I got totally off topic. We were talking about chickens, how much we feed. Sorry, yes. So we mix up 9.5 pounds of dry grain for all 80 of our chickens. Soaked, that probably ends up doubling. And that includes grains as well as some lentils, chickpeas, basically our whole mixture, which Chris has in a video somewhere in our repertoire of chickens.
We tweak it.
Now, the one thing we're finding now, as things are dying off outside, no bugs, we've kind of upped that a little bit. But usually we were mixing 9.5 pounds all summer to feed the 80 chickens. And now we've kind of we're probably closer to 10.5 pounds now of dry for them. But it's also getting really close to butcher time, because I'm getting really tired of listening to roosters try and figure out how to crow.
We're at that point.
Yes. But thanks, Jen. Yes, everyone. Thumbs up.
That's another job for the weekend. So far, what do we have? Gates, garlic, butchering chickens.
Outdoors with Big Matt. Did you already say that? Sorry.
No, I haven't. Hello. Thanks for coming in. We're we're not doing too bad in keeping up with the chat.
Yes, we're trying. And the other thing I was going to say to Eldan, I think that the box around the wood thing to keep around your stove to keep the water from freezing might be a really good idea.
It's a simple one too.
I don't know if you could then still develop your freezer box around that. I know we talked kind of about it, but that would be kind of really insulated then.
Well, that's awesome, Red in the Valley, but that they do all those different sort of grains and mixes and stuff. That's pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And it's local. that's even better.
Exactly.
Which is awesome. I think this is one of the things too. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna go off on a tangent for a moment.
Oh, here comes tangent.
But like the buying local, right? When it's like the feed stores, when you I see feed stores, but places where you can get feed for your animals, when it's a very local business like that, and that's very local. It's great to support them because that's still, I'm gonna say it, that's still big agriculture because that's still to grow grains on a big scale. That's a lot of equipment you need. Like that's beyond what most of us can do as sort of homesteaders. I think most of us. So when you can support that, that's awesome. Because I don't know, we've talked about this a lot with the grains. Would love to be able to grow them and then scale big enough to use them. And certain grains you can easier than others, but it's hard because you need a lot of individual plants to produce you. Even though they produce
Thanks
you.
Thanks for coming in, Good Morning. Great to see you.
Thank you.
And no worries at all. We totally get it. Sorry.
Yeah. Anyways, that kind of feeds into the chicken thing of supporting that.
Hey, Tracy, how are you?
Hello.
We were just saying today we haven't seen Tracy.
Yeah, actually we were.
Yeah, we did because I checked to see if you posted a new video.
Yes, we got sidetracked on the chicken question.
But we did answer it. We did come back to it with the thing.
The one thing
her daughter loves Gur. Chris introduced us to, it's not Gur, what is it? Invader Zim. And we watched, is it 3 seasons?
No, it's only a season.
Oh, there was like
episodes. There was only one full season.
There was a lot of episodes though.
Yeah, they made a lot in the first season.
Yeah. Anyways, we marathoned through that last year with the kids, and everybody got shirts for Christmas.
The kids enjoy it.
Yeah. But, sorry, I know what I was going to say. I don't know if James is still in here or if he's listening. I didn't see, because Chris tends to sometimes thumb up if anybody comments back, and I don't always see them. But I had asked you about on your comment to us about the chicken feed, and you said that you grow your grains. I had asked, because you kind of keep a similar quantity of chickens to what we do, how much space you allocated to your grain growing. Because I'm very curious, because we want to get there. I just have no concept of how much space we actually need to make for grain growing, like sorghum, wheat.
I was going to say, I'm not going to go into details, but...
so he's got 5 acres. Okay.
So
I did say it was going to have to be up there.
Yeah.
We weren't sure. We're going small next year. We've allocated, what is that, maybe about a half acre beside the barn there now, where we had potatoes this year. There's about a half acre.
It's general garden space.
General garden, yeah. But we were curious when you said that you grew all that for your animals, I was curious as to how much space that took up on your farm or homestead. So 5 acres. Thank you very much for that, because that gives us a goal. We're not going to get there anytime soon, because that would involve really shuffling things around and some work. But it'd be nice to.
We can work towards that. But,
yeah.
I was going to go back to. We're glad that the chickens are working out good for you, Thomas' backyard, and me and you, Acres.
Yes.
Hopefully they're working out good for you too. I think we were chatting a little bit about it last night.
Yes.
In your live.
She said that they didn't go back, or she had to go collect them or something, right? Yeah.
But no, that's completely understandable, Tracy. That's also pretty crazy that you lost 50 trees in a windstorm.
Oh my gosh!
Hopefully nothing too close to the house or any of your outbuildings that did any damage. But that's still pretty crazy.
The hair, I was going to go back to Tracy's one. She said, loving the hair. So this was dyed for Halloween. It was supposed to be a washout. And where I'm gray, it is starting to kind of fade a little bit. But to be honest, it's kind of growing on me. I don't mind it. But I'm not a high maintenance. I'm not a person who likes to have to maintain hair and stuff. So it will eventually fade out and go back to the gray. And maybe next Halloween I'll dye it again. Maybe I'll dye it purple next Halloween.
Could do that in between.
Different. Yes, but she said very close.
They might keep going back to the small pen for quite a while. They tend to get pretty set in their ways.
Routine,
like when we were about to sort of, I say about in the next couple of weeks,
Hey, Sean in Alaska. How are
shuffle
you?
everything up because we're going to butcher, and when we butcher, then we tend to move roosters around and kind of put our breeding groups back together and all that sort of stuff because it just makes it easier in the winter. And we usually end up having to leave them locked up for a bit so they don't have free access because they have a tendency to go back to where they were.
Mm-hmm.
Roosters aren't so bad. The hens are worse, but
yeah.
So they're always takes a little bit, but they'll eventually figure
Our
it
ones
out.
that were roosting in the tree now are continuously going back into their hen though.
Yeah, where the I can't remember if we actually put this in a video, but the apple tree. Well, we did put the apple tree falling. The apple tree fell on the chicken coop,
and it's still on the chicken coop.
Partially, but
it's still exactly the same. We have not cut it down.
We cut some branches off.
Oh, we cut enough branches to open the coop door.
But it's dead now. The part that fell is dead now. We're going to cut it up this winter. But the chickens, a few of them that were in that coop, started deciding that they could roost up in the apple tree because they could get to it. And
they were out of our...
Yeah, we couldn't reach them. But since the nights have been cooler, they're not doing that. And it's not even cold, but they're like, nope, we're sleeping inside.
Yeah, they decided to stay in at night now, which is good because a couple of them were our lines that we only have one bird.
Yeah.
And we're going to expand those lines this year. So hopefully,
exactly.
Creative redundancy caught that, still partially. Sometimes Chris and I don't see quite eye to eye on the English language.
Oh, I agree. The trunk's still there.
It's all still there. It's still covered in leaves.
3/4 of it. No, most of the leaves have come off. 3/4 of the tree is still there.
We have good intentions.
Yeah, it'll happen.
I'm telling you, it will still be there next spring.
It
better, won't be there until it rolls off on its own.
No, it's better up on the chicken coop.
Right now, its trunk is blocking the big hole so that it doesn't get full of water.
Well, there's not a big hole. It's damaged, but it's better up there because it'll stay drier.
Yeah.
For firewood for later.
We'll harvest that once there's 2 feet of snow and we can stand up and get high enough.
Exactly it.
There we go. Okay, that's the reasoning. Got it. Oh, so yes, I see somebody already beat me to it, but Sean, you are in quite the cold snap. Holy cow. What did you post? Was it -10 Fahrenheit? We were trying to figure that out. Isn't that like -20?
That's got to be pretty. That's got to be unseasonal for.
Like that seems really cold already.
Yeah. And kind of.
Oh, but he said they were above 0 today.
Okay, so it was a snap, but it's gone back the other way.
Yeah.
I think that kind of stuff's going to be the norm going forward.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
That's awesome that they figured it out. We kind of thought they would.
And did they mesh all right with the ducks and stuff? I can't see that they'd have any problems since they do fine with their geese and everything else. But, yeah. How do you drive into save?
So how
green are they still?
Are they still quite green, the pods, or are they starting to go brown? Because you still got either way. You've still got some time on the broccoli, but depending which one it is, you might do it differently.
Yeah, because you need them to be slightly like they've got to be ripened enough, right? Before you cut the plant.
Yeah, that's kind of the catch-22. So they're still green. If you can, the cold won't hurt them. So if you can leave them on as long as you possibly can, they might start to turn a little bit. Because
we ideally don't pick any seed stuff until it's at least started to brown.
Yeah, but if what they tend to do, all the brassicas do this. What's at the end of, you have your stalk and all your seed pods come off it, right? And then you'll have pods that are at the end. Those ones, I got it backwards. The ones at the bottom that usually go first.
Yeah, the ones closest
to So you'll see the lower ones start to go first, and they'll start to turn brown. You can, you could do it now, but if you can leave them on as long as you think is reasonable, i.e. till we actually really get cold. If it's only -5 at night or something, I wouldn't worry about it too much. Right now,
if it stays continuous, so it doesn't come above, I would just harvest them and see how it does.
But cut the whole seed stalk, and then bring it in somewhere that's drier. It doesn't have to be warm, but drier, and hang it upside down. And you'll probably find that they may not all ripen, but you'll get a pretty good percentage of them probably eventually go brown. And then you can always do a quick test on some and just, once you get them and see if they're actually viable. They should be.
Yeah.
They should be. They're pretty cold hardy, but relatively speaking. And some random winter chainsaw fun.
Yep. So yeah, he said.
So -10 is yeah. That's because
that's -23. Yeah,
what were you before that? I should know the answer to this, but
it just seemed like really fast to change. But then, like you say, now you're back, kind of hovering more around normal.
Mm-hmm. Hello, Black Tropical Homestead.
Hey, how are you?
Thanks for coming in. And she said that they hang out with the ducks.
That's good. Excellent. And the harvesting fence post is excellent too. We have to go and pick up some fence posts before it gets too miserable to go and do it.
Yep, just to have them here for next spring.
Yeah. We like to have everything kind of bought and ready so that whenever we actually get around to doing something, everything's here.
It's nice to have that where it's just all sitting there. I'm trying to think of who else is to add to the Canadian homestead.
Yeah, definitely. Everybody, Tracy is starting, and everybody's kind of jumping on the bandwagon here. Starting a hashtag Canadian Homesteaders to use with your videos. It's great. If you get a chance, go check out the folder, whatever.
Tomorrow a Day Farms.
Sorry, Tomorrow a Day. I keep saying Tracy because it's Tracy, but her other channel, Tomorrow a Day Farms, is trying to get this Canadian Homesteaders ball rolling, I guess you could say. And it's a great initiative, and it's fantastic. I didn't look last time I looked. What was there, about 30 videos in that folder now?
That was a couple days ago too.
Yeah. So definitely take a look if you got a chance, because it's it's a good one. Use YouTube Gardener and Canadian YouTube Gardener. Yeah. We sometimes use like Eastern Ontario Gardener, sometimes things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I should
freezing rain shouldn't
sorry, I'm just gonna
because they're excuse me. The freezing rain shouldn't hurt it too much. Especially if it doesn't stay. But
thanks for coming in, Creative Redundancy. We appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day, evening, I guess. And we'll see you next time.
Yeah, you're not technically in Canada, John, but I don't know. Alaska's pretty much the same thing.
We can learn from you. So
if history had gone differently, you could have been part of
Canada. There you go. Although I'm not so sure on the theory there, but yes, I guess yes.
Well, because I might be wrong, but wasn't it Russia sold Alaska to the U.S. and Canada was offered?
Oh, now we're getting into our history.
I'm sure that's what it was.
I don't know. Okay, let me see if I can. Sorry, I wanted to share Tracy's the video.
You can share that up.
I'm working on it. There we are. Edit. Copy. There we go.
Yeah, we've got, like you said when you were here and we had the bunch of them sitting in the tree, we've got a bunch of younger ones. They do that. They go and eat, and then instead of going back to the coops or whatever, they go up in the tree and on the back of the compost pile and sit and digest, and then they go back out for the rest of the afternoon. It's quite funny. But I'm glad everybody's chickens are catching on reasonably well to the routine, the new routine. I suppose in some ways it's not a big change for them, so they're kind of used to that. But that's funny, Sean. both parts of that comment are funny. Ecocentric Homestead. I think we've checked them out.
Sorry, I was typing. What was that?
I was just going through Red and Value saying Ecocentric Homestead. I'm sure we've checked them out.
Yeah, we're subscribed to them.
Yeah.
There you go. Sorry, I just shared Tracy's. That's the link to the video where she's talking about the Canadian homesteaders hashtag, and definitely take a look at her tomorrow a days. I'm sure most people in here are already subscribed to her, but certainly, yeah, we're gonna try and get this, the Canadian homesteaders, page filled up. I think it's a great idea. There's some people posting there. Start from seed, Wilderstead. Yeah, but there's plenty of amazing channels. So
good night, Brampton Gardener.
Yes.
Good night, Plowman's Backyard. We'll catch you both later.
Yes.
I just say I know we all kind of know each other, but I always just use the panel names because then if somebody in here doesn't know who we're talking about, then they know. That's my disclaimer.
Yeah. So what did I miss while I was
well, it sounds like everybody is starting to feel the some of us more than others, i.e. Sean. But some of us are starting to definitely feel the onset of winter.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess there's a good question. Some people have said, but if you had, like, let's say 3 jobs
you have to get
done, I'm curious what everybody's 3 jobs would be. Well, I don't know. What would ours be?
Well, the main one on our list was getting the snowblower fixed, and we did that this week, so that's pretty good.
That's a big one, but we didn't actually have to do anything.
So no, we had to take it there, and that's why it hadn't been done yet.
But we have to finish butchering because we still have to do chickens. We have to do chickens,
rabbits, geese.
That's a big one.
And a ram.
That's a big one.
And they have to be done by the end of November, ideally.
Yeah.
You better book some time off. I know. Good one, huh?
We have the sugar beets. I don't know if that's a big job. The garlic. Sugar beets and garlic. There we go. That's 2.
Okay, yes.
There's 2 jobs. And we need to do a little bit of work on chicken coops.
And figuring out where we're putting all our breeding groups for sheep.
I don't think that's not gonna be as bad, but we don't have to do anything.
We have to physically, so delusional.
No, we have to physically sort them out.
You need to clean the chicken coops?
Well, it's part of sorting chicken coops.
Oh, okay. You're going to include that, okay.
But
I think, yeah. Well, the list, it's just hard to choose what are the 3 most important parts of the list. That's the problem.
Something else will
always bump
end up in there.
But yeah, I agree. Butchering, winter prep, and getting some stuff. Excellent, Kendra. Good. Yes. Please use it. I think it's great. I did notice that you didn't have any in there. Me and You Acres doesn't have anything in there yet on the Canadian homesteaders. Trying to think of who else is not in there.
Well, it's one of those things.
El Dan still hasn't developed a channel, even though they're a fountain of information. Well, I don't know, but we've got a few. There's Tracy kind of hit most of them, I think, or quite a few of them, and then more will get in there. What was the other one that's in our live sometimes? Caitlin's farm. They have the organic dairy.
Oh yeah.
They're another one.
Explain the deep litter method for coops. So the theory basically behind it is you put in your bedding, and then technically you don't really clean it. That's the high level theory. Oh, sorry. You don't clean it for the winter.
Yeah.
I should say.
In worst case scenario, you're adding more bedding.
Yeah, you often do have to keep topping it up. And on a small scale, you probably are going to have to spot clean a little bit, i.e.
under the roost.
Under the roost.
Under the roost. But you want it deep enough that it does not freeze into a clump on the.
Yeah, like they'll move it around, and that's. We'll be honest. We usually find works really well early on, and then you kind of get to a point where it almost gets hard to keep topping it up because they break it down too, right? Like sometimes we use you can use leaves or pine needles, or you can pretty much use any wood chip.
Thanks for coming in, Tracy.
Yes, thank you, and no worries because you're definitely got lots on the go. And sorry to hear about all the trees that came down because that's never fun to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you basically you're trying to create I forget the actual depth. Like you want a pretty good
you
amount of it.
want 6 to 8 inches. Like usually, do you get your shavings? We use wood shavings, wood chips, and ours come in this paper kind of compressed block that does. I think it does 9 square feet, 6 inches deep.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's 9 square feet or 9 cubic. Must be square feet. Anyways, usually we put a whole one in each of our coops, which gives us 5 to 6 inch depth.
And sometimes we add other stuff too. The one thing I will say,
hey Joe and Sue,
if you've got like a concrete floor, for example, you can sometimes almost do it a bit more like a compost pile, where you can really accumulate a pretty good layer. You probably don't want that. That's kind of that trade-off. You probably don't want it accumulating that much because deep litter can produce heat and stuff, but to do that, it has to be composting, and you probably don't want that on your coop floor. So I'm sure you're doing it. It sounds like you're doing it perfect for a small flock.
Mm-hmm.
I find when you're doing it on a small scale, it helps you, but you still have to spot clean. They're going to move it around. You still have to top it up. It just kind of is what it is.
Yeah, but it also provides extra insulation too in the wintertime.
And the nice part of it is,
and creates its own heat.
Well, yeah, and then even if it's not composting proper, like it's not getting up to temperature to really compost over the winter, it still breaks down enough. I'm going to say this, and it's kind of the homesteader way of looking at it. You can still put that in a little pile somewhere later and use it probably sooner than, like if you're going to use it for garden amendments and stuff, than if you just sort of clean something out because it's already partially broke itself down. It's not completely, but yeah. I don't know if I hope it makes sense.
Yeah,
not sounding very.
But basically, the concept, at least for us, our coops are very open. We do the deep bedding because it allows, if there is any moisture, it seems to soak down in, which gives them a nice dry layer all the time. Mm-hmm. And we just continuously add. And you might, on a nice day, when you get a day that is, you're going to have the same problem as us. It freezes solid in parts in the coop. It just is what happens. And then if you get a day where it's a little bit warm enough that you could potentially get a fork in and kind of turn it, that does benefit for the composting idea, because you turn it and then the chickens work it all over again because you turned it.
Yeah, they, as much as chickens are excellent.
But we do not clean it. We don't clean it out until spring. Really.
Basically, yeah.
Like other than, like Chris says, a spot clean, because we have 3 or 4 chickens that all sit at one end of the roost and it all piles there.
Yeah.
That's an easy thing to just pull out. But the other option is to turn it in, whichever you want. If you want that compost effect, you can just turn it in and let the shavings do their thing and let the chickens cluck at it.
Straw will work. Heck, you can even use hay. It really doesn't.
Well, we often
really matter
in the fall time, like if we can get enough dry days now, but we often put wheelbarrowfuls of dry leaves in.
Yeah.
And it works great.
I know Sean doesn't have that, but
well, yes. So can you use pine needles and stuff?
You could,
but they'd be covered in snow already, probably, and wet. But yeah, for a future year, if you gather those up when they're dry, you can put them in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Eldan's got it. You're capturing more than just the carbon, but you're capturing all that stuff, and then it's breaking it down into But yeah, I think that is the one thing when you're in. It's not that it can't be done, but when you're in a really northern environment where it gets cold, and we're not even compared to some people in here, but it's hard to keep it the active biological side of the composting going. Like our actual manure pile does, but it's like what, 4 feet high?
Well, not anymore. It's
not anymore, but over the winter we layered up, so you're 4 feet high,
and then it can drops down to but it steams all winter.
Yeah,
we often said but using it for a heat source.
Actually do that inside of a small coop.
No. Before I forget, I also want to say, honey badgers, you should use the Canadian Homesteaders hashtag as well in some of your videos. We find we're just putting it in a couple here or there, or we go back in something that's kind of substantial that we want people to find in our past videos. But we went back and put a few of the ones that we wanted, we hashtagged them, but otherwise we're just kind of doing it going forwards. But honey badgers is another one, Canadian Homestead, that should be in there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So definitely make sure you tag it a few times in a few videos so that you're in
I don't know exactly
is it a
how
folder?
it works,
what is it called on YouTube? When you do the hashtag, the folder comes up at the top.
The hashtag thingy.
The hashtag thingy, exactly.
Thoughts about coarse grit, sand, and coop replace shavings? I could see. So, how do I? We don't actually supply like loose grit per se, but we do because we do the. Well, I shouldn't say that. We do, but in the winter months, A, they still get outside a little bit, but B, we do put in a mix with wood ash and sand. Speaking of which, I have to go get some sand from the sand pit before it freezes. So they still get access to that. I've never tried the coarse grit, but the problem I could see with it is it wouldn't absorb the wet. That's one thing that's nice about a lot of the like wood shavings, the straw, even hay. It's not great, but from a chicken perspective, it does. And chickens aren't that wet, but there's still moisture there, so you do want to try to capture that. And that would be the one thing about the deep bedding, and I think Red in the Valley said it too about the frostbite. Because this is where we don't ever have a problem because our chickens, the coops are like completely open in front.
Yeah.
So it never really traps a lot of moisture. But when you have this, like, because you've got
the snow comes in it.
Well, yeah, but the coop doesn't keep the air. There's tons of ventilation, right? And that's the thing when you have single comb breeds, you have to watch the ventilation more than the cold because it's finding that balance of you want good air circulation because that gets rid of the moist air, and chickens do produce. It's amazing, they do actually respire quite a bit. Yeah. They produce quite a bit of it. So if the bedding's producing more and you don't have good ventilation, it can actually cause a problem. Which is kind of where I was going with the coarse grit. That can be a problem because it doesn't absorb any of the moisture to trap it. But the flip side to that is it's all about ventilation, and that's where you kind of have to play with it, like because of this partridge chroniclers there's like no comb or wattles on them. They really don't ever get frostbite.
No.
But that allows us to leave them pretty much completely open because they don't lose a lot of heat out of those appendages. So that's one thing to play with too.
We find there's more problem with feet than anything else because if they don't have a proper roost that they can cover their feet.
Yeah, that's a big one too.
But that's any chicken. That's not just ours. It's
because the one big thing is chickens don't like songbirds, right? A chickadee has a foot. They call them perching birds because they grab, and there's tendons in there that when they move their foot a certain way, it just automatically grabs on, and so they use no muscle power to do that. But chicken doesn't have that, so that's where it seems kind of unnatural, but the flat coop's nice, or the flat perch is nice, where in cold environments because the chicken sits on it, and they don't have to work their feet, and their toes stay when they lay down on their toes, their feathers cover it. Whereas if they've got to curl them, sometimes their toes are exposed. I'm not going to say that frostbite on their toes isn't always a huge issue. I think there is some breed stuff that affects that, but it's just something that we have noticed and heard from others too. That can be and again, that goes back to the moisture, right? If you've got lots of moisture in the coop, that's going to be a bigger issue. But
hey, Hygge Homestead. Did I say it right? I think so. I get it, and I know we go through this every single time, but it's Hygge. I'm sure of it.
Oh, that's interesting. That then I might be wrong. Me and you, Acres. You should give it a try. I could see it being an insulator to some degree. I just would have thought it would have held it. I guess that's the thing, though, whether it holds moisture. Because sorry, I'm thinking here. Because it can't hold any moisture, but then that's where I guess it depends on the drainage of your coop. Like if you were a bare ground coop, then you probably don't want the moisture being held because you want to drain. So many factors to think about.
I suggest this. Angie, try it, and then let us all know how it goes.
Yeah.
Because really, it's trial and error. We've never tried it. We've always done the deep bedding with the shavings. and it's never not worked for us. And giving them a bucket to dust bath in with sand and ash. But I'd be curious if it's something that works. Now, we're on wood floors. I don't know if it would work as well on wood floors as our shavings do, but
it probably would.
Yeah.
Ours wouldn't work because our wood floor is separate boards, right? So it would fall through the cracks.
Yeah.
But if you had like a solid plywood floor or something like that, it probably work really well.
You'll make it.
Yeah, you definitely. That's one thing I will say, and you might not have too much of a problem with it, Sean, because you got them as chicks and don't have any adults. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say you probably don't have anybody around you that has chickens. But the one thing about the dust bathing and that's why we like the wood ash. It helps get rid of some of the bugs, and the worst one that we find is leg mites in the winter. They don't really suffer from leg mites too much. You get the odd one, but it's pretty rare. But then in the summertime, they have access to go out and dust bathe wherever they want, right? So in the wintertime, we tend to find it's a bigger problem when they don't have that.
Sean's like, so if Angie's chickens all die, then we won't do it.
I suppose that's one way to look at
it. Yeah. I'm not so sure. We can replace the two if they die.
I can see it. I can see what you're saying with the play sand because it doesn't have, like, it's very, very fine. If they eat too much of it.
Yeah, like
the one thing too about them eating too much grit is if they don't have access to it for a long time and then suddenly give them access to it, it's like kids with candy. They'll go nuts and eat a whole bunch of it, right? Or like and larger livestock are the same with like salt licks and stuff. If they have access to it all the time, sometimes you wonder if they're even consuming it. They are, but they hardly go to it. Whereas if you don't give it to them for a while and then suddenly give it to them, they gorge on it, which is usually not good. And chickens do the same thing.
Yeah. But I was going to say, just like Sean was talking about, he needs to make one, which they do enjoy it, and it does keep their feathers in really nice condition because it's basically bathing. We use the big rubber horse feed tub.
Yeah, it's like
I don't know. It's like a 5-gallon tub, but it's low and rubber, and we just mix the ash and the sand in that.
And they take turns.
Yeah, and they take turns, and you have to fill it up kind of every 2 weeks again with more. Yeah, you do, because they kick it out. They kick it out because they like it deep enough to fluff about in. So they knock some of it out. But yeah, it's pretty good.
Now the pellet feed, I'm going to say
should have it in it.
Well, it may have some, and they tend to be able to, because it's already kind of mushed up. They can probably break it down better. It's like commercial layers or commercial meat birds. Sorry, they often don't give them grit because the pellet goes to mush as soon as it gets into their innards. Yours probably, like, I don't know if I'd add it to their feed, but you could give it to them in another little container. Even just a small one, something they won't knock over and something they won't poop in.
Yeah, well, and small enough that they can't actually get too much of it.
Yeah, but his have been out most of the summer,
it's actually true. It's not like they've been a long time without pecking in the dirt.
No, they'll know what they're doing.
Yeah,
compared to some.
Yeah.
Maker says, I know where I can get more. Yes, but you may have to wait until next fall because shortly the vast majority of those chickens are not going to be here.
Well, the vast majority of them are roosters now.
Also true. Also true.
Yeah,
but that's not a bad problem to have when you're trying to feed yourself.
No. And I keep saying they need like another 2 weeks. They need to fatten them up for another 2 weeks. But I don't know if we're going to make another 2 weeks. Now that we've removed so many hens, they're all kind of getting a little scrappy with each other.
They're getting to that age.
Yeah. And like I said earlier,
the
trial crowing or the practice crowing is really annoying.
That's, I think what you're saying there, Sean, is 100% true. Like, chickens are pretty indestructible. There's some trains of thought that they're full of disease and this, that, and whatever. But I will say this: there's a lot of research that's been done on chickens compared to a lot of poultry, so we know a lot more about their diseases than we do about other things. So, and obviously, when you start keeping thousands of anything together, you know, the risk goes up. But a small backyard / homestead flock like yours,
yeah,
you're probably not going to run into a lot of problems.
No.
Aside from maybe something eating them. That's usually the number one for
predators
for small flocks is predation.
Yeah. But, that'd be interesting.
But that's something we've never actually tried. I mean, we could give it a shot. I like the idea of like what you're saying, because some people I know feed them back just as shells. But if anybody's ever had an egg-eating chicken, besides you like to eat eggs, that's not something you want to have.
So we don't want to teach them that.
You don't want to teach them that. So yeah, if you can grind it down to something that's really not recognizable for them, then.
Does this mean I'm going to have to start grinding the chicken food as well as the worm food?
No. Well, right now, most of our eggshells are going to our indoor worm bins because
yeah, we just grind them up, and
they do well with the extra calcium. Like they produce babies like mad. Not that they're very big worm bins, but that's where the bulk are going.
The debate is always on whether it's worth doing the worm bins.
And that debate is whether it's worth doing the worm bins, given that we have so many animals that will eat a lot of like we don't generate a lot of the organic waste that the worms would be able to eat. The things that we can't feed, like onions and whatnot, can't give to the worms. So, and we have the big outdoor compost too, so it's kind of like they're great, but.
Okay, so Red in the Valley needs to start making videos as well and tell us how that goes.
Yeah. I've heard people do it for sure.
Yeah.
We haven't, but
something we can try.
Yeah. That's something we probably need to do on our next dive into getting better with everything. And Gutnjarn's not in here anymore, but when we first started, he had some comments for us in some of our videos of like, what about the dietary requirements of something? Like, for example, our feed mix that we use with the sprouted grain, we don't really get into, we just kind of show, like, this is the mix we use, this is the mix we've been using. We tweak it from time to time, and it's kind of more of here's a concept to try, right? But we don't actually break it down to, I guess, the science behind it of, like, what nutritional should a chicken be getting, or a sheep, or a rabbit, or whatever. But it would be interesting to slowly go that route. I think it'll be hard. The hardest part too is some of those like your commercial feeds, right? Your pellets, they're formulated. So the whole premise is you can feed that to an animal, whatever animal that pellet's designed for, and that will give them all the nutrients they need without anything else. It's sort of the basic principle, but when you have a flock of chickens that are getting out and eating other stuff, then it's hard to quantify it because you don't actually know. Like I think if I'm not mistaken, grass when it's growing is fairly high in calcium. I'm pretty positive.
I'm getting distracted.
What are you doing?
That was over top of your microphone.
Is it better?
Look at, now we get two things sometimes. The little plastic we bought, what was that?
Protector?
Like 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, we bought a webcam, and I just noticed that there's a plastic protector which would have been covering the little microphone holes. I don't know if it made any difference, but I took it off.
Maybe we sound better now.
Yes.
I don't know. Yeah, we get the same problem, Sean, where the eggs at certain times of the year, they're frozen. Our birds right now, because we don't light them or anything, so they're not laying very much right now, but a lot of the older ones are going through the molt, and the younger ones aren't quite old enough to lay. Usually, like by the 22nd of December, they start laying again. That was
the squeeze.
Let there be sound. Is it actually better?
It's much better? Really? See? Look at that. Oh, this is what happens when
when you don't read the instructions. It was a little plastic tape piece that was over to keep it all protected. Anyways, I saw this little tab sticking out and I'm like, I wonder if that's over the microphone.
That's hilarious. Well, there you go. If you happen to buy a AverMedia webcam with built-in microphone,
make sure you take off the thing.
Yeah, the little plastic film has to come off. There you go. YouTube homesteaders tip of the day.
We should have done that as a homestead hack. Take off the film.
Oh, that's too funny.
Oh, well. Anyways, it only took us like a month to figure it out. Technology. And apparently the hum is gone now. So it must have been like some weird...
And now I don't have to yell. I've been yelling the whole time. Speaking of that, I'm going to steal your water.
We can homestead, but we're not very techie. Anyways, sorry, that was my digression from the actual conversation for a moment to have a brilliant moment. Absolutely brilliant. Should we do show and tell?
Sure.
I only have 9 people, but I'm going to do show and tell because I wanted to do show and tell. I've been working really hard.
You can do your show and tell, and you can have beautifully clear
sound. But my show and tell doesn't make any noise.
No, but you're going to talk about it.
Yes.
And you'll be brilliantly clear.
There we go. So, I'm showing off my wool knitting today. Not that we do show and tell all the time, but I like doing show and tell sometimes. So I wanted to show people. I am going through the process of taking photos of these to put in our Etsy shop. But I've been making mittens. I can turn my speakers down. Yes. But I'm going to try and get them where I thingy it here. Let's see. I've been making my Newfie mitts out of our Icelandic wool fleece. I've almost used up what I have spun, so Chris has to get to work carding for me.
We can't do stuff outside.
Yeah, I know. We're almost to that point. Sheepishly Me channel.
You recommended that before. Cause
I think I am subscribed to her.
You might be.
Is she the one?
We'll look it up
again. It's a big barn, and she's got them all in the metal stalls.
I think that was during the time of year when we were.
Yeah, because she was having lambs.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yes. So, anyways, these ones are a little bit smaller. But those ones were our brown lamb fleece with one of our Morit gray. I'm thinking when I do this, I'm going to try. I took pictures of all my sheep, and so I want to make little labels that are tag that goes with each pair of mittens that shows the sheep that the wool came from. I think it'd be kind of fun and kind of personal.
Well, you remember?
I don't know. I'm just playing around with this. I sold my first ones on Etsy last winter. So I'm a little bit behind for getting this for Christmas for most, but I'm still going to get going with it. But see, those ones are just gray with gray, but you can still see the pattern. It's quite nice.
But the nice part about these wool things is they're technically wool's perishable, but you only barely. You don't have to do too much to keep it as an unperishable thing.
Here comes my favorite pair. Well, yeah, it's my favorite pair. My second favorite pair is one that's not all of our fleece, but that's okay. These ones are gorgeous. They are, you hold the basket.
I will hold the basket.
So, because I try and get close to the camera. I don't know if it can,
it's a little blurry.
That gets blurry when I come up close, doesn't it?
Go back a bit. That's better.
That's better.
It's focusing on your face, though.
How do I make it focus? That's better.
There you go.
Anyways, they are our white sheep Lila, and then inside is it's actually from one of our black sheep, but it actually looks kind of like a really dark brown. So I love those ones. They're quite large. They're more like you can wear them. They're guy ones.
I'm going to interrupt you for a moment.
Oh, because,
sorry. The one thing, and I think we've said this before, but these gray ones, the gray fleece, if you want, like, for something that wears really, really well, i.e. doesn't I don't know, just lasts. It's very strong. The gray seems to be the number one.
Yeah, Chris has a pair of wool socks, but they're kind of more like slippers because I have not mastered spinning thin enough to make socks, so they're more like a slipper, nice, and they are lasting forever. You wear them all the time, and we've washed them, and that's one thing too. I wash them, even though not supposed to. I did even make out of some of my leftovers. I made little toddler ones, which are super cute. Again, with the lamb fleece, so they're super soft. But can I make them with fingers like gloves? Oh boy, I don't know.
You could.
I have made the fingerless type without the end before, but I don't know. I'd have to look up and see on a pattern. I'm experimenting with some crocheting ones too, but I don't know if I don't remember if I saw gloves in those.
There's probably something.
I'd have to look it up, but I mean, it's definitely potential. These ones would fit you, Ange. They're tight on me. They fit you. I'll set them aside for you. So these ones, I love these mittens. I actually have made myself a pair, but the pink is not my own. Still 100% wool, but it is store-bought wool. But the inside is from our white sheep. And it's really, really, I'll show you the inside. It's like a really fluffy white, and it's super soft. Again, it's not focusing great. If I cover my face, it does a bit better.
Pretty well.
But yes, but I am going to be selling them, and I haven't really worked out all the details yet, but you can see there's the pink ones. I love them. They're a little snug on me, this pair. The pair I made for myself, I did one round longer, and I made the thumb a little longer because these ones are for. I've got big mitts. I've got big mitts.
Red in the Valley says baby blanket, sweater, hat, set, and gloves.
Oh, and socks. Well, socks I have not. I can do hats. I can do mittens. I haven't done scarves really. I tried weaving scarves.
Yeah, well, you can do them. It just
but I haven't made scarves for selling purposes. I made cowls. I love them. I'm going to look into that a bit more. Yeah, like what Sean said, they're the flip back ones where the mitten covers up. I've got a pattern to make those, which I want to try, and it's got like is it Aaron? The crisscrossy, like what you see on sweaters. Is that an Aaron pattern?
So
I've got a pattern that I just picked up the other day that has the flip back ones with the Aaron pattern on them.
You've not tried those ones yet?
No, I haven't made them yet. But anyways, so I've got those. These ones are just black store-bought wool with gray on the inside. And then I've got this pair, which is not quite finished yet.
Man, you're still attached.
I know, I'm still attached to the thingy. But this is a bigger set for men's hands. It's this is terrible because it's not showing well, but it's got the white on the inside and then the gray on the outside. So love it.
The one thing though, since we're talking about wool, that I find with the Icelandic wool is it's not scratchy, like
no,
at all.
Well, I shouldn't say that. I'm going to show you some of my spun wool. This gray
is the most
scratchy, is the scratchiest one, and you can still put it like it's still. Would I wear a sweater next to my skin? No, but it's still plenty soft enough for mittens and hats and things like that. But this white one, you can see how fluffy it is. So soft. Oh.
The problem with all this wool is keeping it away from the cats. The
cats love to play. So I have, just because it's in my box and I'm doing show and tell, I do have a little like spindle thingy for spinning by hand.
The drop spindle.
The drop spindle, which I do like because I can get quite nice thin yarn with it. But I prefer my spinning wheel because it's a lot quicker. But anyways, that was show and tell. My mittens, which I am hoping to get listed on our Etsy site in the next day or two. Because like I say, I went out and took pictures outside today because it was actually not sunny, but bright enough that it was kind of taking good pictures. So, but those will be coming on our site. And I actually got a set of placemats done too to go on there, which is kind of nice. So I should do a few more little toddler ones too, because they're quite cute. But no, they don't take very much and very long, but I can't get my hand in them to demonstrate. They're way too small. But there you go.
But it's kind of a nice, I don't know, it's that other part about trying to be, I mean, this is more mitts than we would ever use, but it's nice though. Because
you say that. The kids go through like 3 pairs a year because they lose them.
Well, losing them is different than wearing them out.
I have so many single mittens, it's not even funny. Because the kids leave ones, or they set it on the seat and it falls out of the car. Yeah. The nice thing is I can always remake a second one because we have the same colors.
Yeah, that's true.
But
basically the wool is something we want to...
So something to try. So I should write this, trying to find one with fingers. I'll see what I can find, because I like getting suggestions of things for what to make, kind of thing, because I think that it gives you I kind of get in a rut of working on what I think. But after Red in the Valley mentioned about the blanket, I went out and got a whole bunch of patterns for
well, you got hard copy patterns
of
stuff.
What's Afghan, like baby Afghans and things like that. And there was some beautiful ones with like the chevrons, which would look really nice with all of our different colored fleece. And so anyways, now I'm like running a mile a minute and I've got so many other things to do, and all I do is sit and knit.
And we've got to process a bunch more.
And we have to process and clean a bunch more. But yes, the kick in the butt was when you said about doing a blanket, and I went, I need to go and look for some patterns. And then it just kind of escalated to
But you had a really good point with that, because there's lots of patterns online, but if you can't get online eventually, or something, then you don't have them.
Exactly.
So you went to the thrift store and
I spent hours going through their craft section and picked up like so many. There were so many of those little like single leaflet type patterns, one pattern per thing, and they wanted 25 cents, and some of them were less than that. So
and then you physically have it.
Yeah. So anyways, it was kind of nice. So now I'm kind of all motivated on this. I still do the quilting side, and I'm very motivated to keep going with that. But I love the idea of developing my craft stuff a little more towards what we actually produce here.
Well, if we keep raising sheep, we're going to have a lot of wool.
Not if. We are continuing to raise sheep probably for many, many years to come. So there will be a lot of...
that doesn't sound... If we are raising sheep.
No, we are
raising sheep. Then okay, you're right. It does sound fine.
Yeah. Yes. But anyways, yes. So I will have those listed, and if you want to send me an email or whatever, that works too.
I like Sean's comment. The single mitten always pairs up with the single lost sock.
Yeah. I really don't know where stuff goes, but anyways, thank you very much, Red and Valley, me and you makers, everybody. I just was showing what I'd been working on, because I kind of I'd gotten out of it, really. I mean, when was the last time I sewed?
Well, you hadn't gotten out of it. You just haven't done it in a while.
Yeah. But I did make the socks. But
it's not one of those things that you tend to, I see you, but anybody, if you're doing all the other stuff, it's like in the summertime, you're not doing that because there's too much other stuff going on. You do a bunch of different, excuse me, I keep coughing. You do a bunch of different colored placemats.
Yep.
They're all usually a very similar pattern, like the checker.
I do them all. I call them like farmhouse placemats. So they're all squares. It's 5 squares across and 4 squares down, and they're all kind of mismatched pattern to kind of look checkerboardy. And I do them in blues and greens.
They're like a color theme.
I'll go get one.
Continuation of show and tell.
Continuation. These ones are not listed yet.
But this is all stuff too. It's like, well, I think this goes with anything. It's like knowing what to do with it. Right now, I know you don't create the
these are the ones I just finished. So they're just crisscrossy, and they don't show well in like just a pile like this. But on a table with a nice little centerpiece, they look really good. But I do like, this is all burgundies, and then I've got greens and then blues. And I do one that's a farmhouse one that has red, blues, cream colors.
Yeah, you've got, I think you had about 5 or 6 color combinations.
It's kind of one of those things, and I've got, I did plunge ahead and I cut a whole bunch of fabric, so I've got to keep going with making some more of these. But
well, and something else that's cool too, like you make the plate. This is kind of where I was going with like the skill stuff, right? Because I don't have the skills to do this. Although I do help you. I do the carding.
You cut the pieces for me for
I cut
fabric,
pieces,
and you
sort pieces.
Chris sometimes organizes them in their pattern for me, so that all I have to do is sew them together.
Yeah, and I do a lot of the carding.
We're good teamwork.
Well, that makes it easier.
Yes,
but it's what's I going to say? It's those other skills, right? Because it's like making placemats. You are making the placemats principally with the intent of trying to sell them, but that same skill, you can make blankets and not blankets, but you know what I mean, like quilts for beds and like useful things that we're going to use too. So I don't know. It all kind of
Me and you were you'd gotten. And I'm going to be terrible because I can't remember what color they were. You got...
they were. She does them with the multiple colors.
Yeah, but she gave the blue one to her mom. And what colors did you keep of Thor Havens for your new kitchen? Because you should really be matchy-matchy. So I should try and make ones that kind of tie in with that color. But yes, we can do that. We can get some sorted out.
I like that. I have a theory that clothes dryers are actually time machines due to the static energy. Small things like socks and mittens travel to another dimension.
Well, I really don't know where they go.
Sometimes it makes no sense.
It's kind of like my dryer balls. I make the wool dryer balls and they just disappear.
That's the cats.
Well, but where do they go? Because I can't find them. Even in the house, I cannot find the wool.
They're probably all underneath one of the China cabinet thingies.
I bet. Anyways, we've gone through like 10 dryer balls. And I only have one in my dryer right now. But I should go get my box of dryer balls that I've been working on too.
No, they're kind of fun. They do work to a point. I don't know if the dryer balls are like the real solution for static cleaning.
No, they don't work on the static greatly.
They help.
But they're better than using the
softener.
Yeah. So but I like that theory.
Yeah, you like knitting, but you almost like the crocheting better because it's easier.
I found like I was a big knitter. I've knit mittens and stuff my whole life since I was like 10. But I found this will be my age and maybe catching up with me, or maybe the fact that I do a lot of knitting and quilting and stuff with my hands. And I find I can knit for maybe an hour. And then I have to put it down because my fingers start to cramp, especially when I'm knitting the mittens because you're holding 4 needles at the same time. But I can crochet for hours and I don't have to set it down. I can just keep going. It doesn't hurt my hands at all. So, yeah. So I'm definitely spending a little bit of time getting into looking for new patterns with the crocheting because I know I can do that for a longer period of time, which allows more production. Not that I'm like, Sweat Factory or anything, but I produce like 5 pairs of mittens a year.
Well, we might do better, but
maybe. But so Angie says a lot of dark, like browns and grays and whites. Sometimes, depending on what it is, with rose gold.
And black.
Yes. Sean's mom was a big, and then switched. Yeah, same thing. Yeah. Baby or kitchen? What comes
Which
first?
comes first? Your kitchen will come first.
Yes.
You guys are moving pretty fast on things, so. Although I will say the only thing is though, little things sometimes take longer than big things because they're more finicky.
Yeah.
Finishing off all the little stuff ends up taking up more time.
Yeah.
So.
Oh boy.
I still think
time
funny,
dimension.
But,
never be sorry for sharing. I think it's awesome. And it has, hey, maybe one day someone will watch us and then go, that's how you design
We'll have to tell, was it James was talking about
inventing
time travel.
Yeah, James, our son, he is obsessed with wanting to develop time travel.
Oh, I know what we're going to do. We're going to tell him that you have the theory that's potentially a time machine, and then he'll always do the laundry for us.
No. No, he won't.
We can hope.
Alex somewhat does, but he won't. So yeah, his mom switched because she can do it all day. I don't know what it is. It's something about how you hold the needles. It's different in my hand. Yeah, it just doesn't cramp up. And
well, yeah.
I still am going to keep going because the mittens have kind of sentimental value for me because my grandmother was from Newfoundland and she taught me how to make the mittens, and they are called a Newfie mitt. And that was really that and dishcloths were the first things that she ever taught me to make. And I kind of always kept going with it because of I don't know, it was sentimental that was the mittens that I make. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to produce them in quite the quantity that I used to. So I am going to switch, but I'll keep making some of them.
Hey, I'll learn how to do one of them too.
Hot Tub Time Machine. That was a funny movie.
That's funny.
So what'd she say? Towels were all deep blue and burgundy and orange and yellow. But for placemats, I'm thinking dark. I love dark. Okay. Well, we'll discuss and come up with because I can custom make them. I can custom make them. So we can just. I like doing that where I open up boxes and I pull out thousands of different pieces of fabric and make a big mess and then narrow it down to like 80 pieces of fabric and say, okay, choose 20. But no, it's good fun. So we can come up with something and they'll be perfect for your kitchen when it's ready.
But that makes sense too about once you get the foundation done, because that's kind of possibly one of the biggest parts. Talking about the big taking your time on the rest of it. It'll probably be more enjoyable if you can do that. Write on the inside, write messages to people on the inside of socks.
And share it with them.
But then you got to see if something comes back.
Well, I've never had a sock that's not ours appear. That would be the downfall. They just seem to disappear.
Then use public laundromats and see if a message comes back.
Oh. Also explains new socks. Do you actually have new socks? I never get new socks.
No, we've had socks where it's like, I've never seen that before. It's usually a kid's sock.
Yeah, they're
which
socks.
They must get from somewhere, but it's like I think we have one or two of them.
Well, and then whenever somebody comes over with kids, there always seems to be socks left behind.
Yeah, we've accumulated a few of those over the years.
Yeah. Imagine the look on someone's face. Yeah.
Message. That's like you have to change the message in a bottle song to message in a sock.
I don't know. Things are getting all crazy.
That's funny. I think it's quite funny.
Eldan is going. You watch. She's going to invent the time machine. Well, they are going. I would say Eldan. I shouldn't. Both of you are going to invent the time machine.
Retrofit a couple of so here's the question: if you could somehow connect a bunch of washing machines, could you amplify the power?
I thought it was the dryer, not the washing machine.
Yes. No. Oh yes, it was the dryer. Still, could you same principle?
Yes, you probably could. You could make it bigger and better. What are you planning to move?
I don't know. The problem is you still need to power it.
Yeah, a stitch in time. Oh, cats, get off there! Come on.
The cats are indicating they feel it's time our lives.
It's dinner. It's dinner time. They say
they do this every time.
Yep, they start interrupting.
To appear.
Yeah, there's more cats. Oh, but we probably should wrap it up. Yeah.
Stitch in time.
Yeah. Oh, perfect. Well, we're caught up, and I think it's that time.
I think so.
Yes, but thank you everybody for putting up with my show and tell. I really enjoyed it, and that's what I'm saying about the messages coming back. So they've had new socks. Interesting. Now I'm going to have to watch and look.
Oh, I know we've had it. I assume there's an explanation, like you said.
We've had it. When have you done laundry?
There's some in the thingy that have been there forever that there's never been a match for.
Oh yeah, those ones.
Well, that's a new sock because it doesn't have a match. It never had one.
Oh my goodness. Yes. Anyways, I hope everybody has a fantastic night and a great rest of the week.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see everybody. I think are we still doing our thing as a premiere on Friday?
Yes. Stay tuned because we're going to
do a premiere. I think we're probably going to aim for later in the evening. Right?
We're thinking Friday.
On Friday. No, we are doing it Friday. It was just one of the time. But anyways, we were going to premiere a video on Friday. So maybe we'll see some of you in there.
We're not going to tell you what it is.
No, but we're going to aim for probably around 8-ish.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Kids are gone by then.
True.
So, but yeah. Anyway, so hopefully we'll see everybody in that. And have a great night.
Mm-hmm.
And we will talk to you next time. Bye for now.
Good night, everybody.